I was born in Pittsburg, Kansas, which was a little railroad town. And times were hard then. And we would have men riding the rails, as they used to call them, railroad bums. And they would ride from one town to another looking for work. And occasionally we'd have them drop off there because the shops weren't too far away. And they'd come to the back door and ask for something to eat, and Mother would scrape up what she could find, give them something, and they would sit out on the back step and eat. I'd go out and sit down there as a little kid and chat with them. You wouldn't do that nowadays. Over 80 years ago, things were much different than they are now. We made all of our own clothes, as far as I knew. My mother sewed and made all of my clothes. They even made my dad's shirts. And when I was about 3, 4 years old, I was going to learn to sew. I got under the table, the dining table, spread out some paper and spread out Mother's dust cap. And I was going to cut a pattern off of it. So I cut around that and everything, and was pleased with myself, with my pattern. I picked up my scraps, cleaned up my mess, and threw it in the stove. And then just instantly I saw the Mother's dust cap go up. And that really upset me. Those caps were a lot of work. And the reason women wore them was because we had to use a broom. We had to sweep everything. We didn't have vacuum cleaners. And so Mother, being the seamstress she was, she had hers made real pretty and with lace on it and little flowers on it. And I had to tell my daddy. So she called and at work, stood me up on a chair so I could reach the phone on the wall, and crying and telling him all about it. He consoled me. Daddies are good for a lot of things. Up until about 1927, we still lived in Pittsburgh. And we went to the little country church where Mother and Daddy grew up. At Christmas time, it was so exciting because we'd always go out to church and they'd have these big Christmas trees up in front of the church. They were loaded with toys, and of course one of them had big dolls all over it. And it was so hard to sit still and be quiet and wait and search those dolls and wondering which one was yours. That was quite a memory, because in those days you didn't have a lot of toys, and that was one you really looked forward to. On this farm was a little creek, and it always had just enough water for kids to play in. And in the wintertime, sometimes it would freeze over. And this winter, it had frozen over, and we had a big old wooden sled that 3 of us could get on. And we got on it and started down one side to go up the other. There was a stump in the middle of the ice, and a sled stopped at the stump, and we did, and it was just swish, swish, swish sliding off. Ripped our pants and our hide as we went. That was a memory. We never tried that again.